but like I think one of my main takeaways is that like just how a small focused shift can like change a lot. So I think probably one of my favorite sessions that was Andrea Honigsfeld's presentation, and her little, eight little shifts basically. And I'm like, some of these are things that we already kind of know, and some of them are things that we know but we don't think of very often, like changing up our models if you're doing co-teaching, stuff like that. But like just literally pick any of those things and it could make such a big difference. So I'm just trying to remember, okay, yes, everything is overwhelming. Yes, I have 5 million teachers I'm trying to work with across all these grade levels, but like, can I just give them one thing? Like, let's increase our engagement, our participation in talking, something to hone in on, and really just deliver to them as like one really good option. That's kind of like a big bang. And so just, it's kind of helped me, even though there are so many different ideas, it's kind of helped me think like, even if I can just very neatly package any of these really helpful things, it's going to make an impact. So that's been super helpful. And so one thing I want to change is I want to do that. I want to chill myself out a little bit about all the things that need to happen. And I want to pick, a couple of things to just hone in on that are going to be really beneficial for that grade level or that group of students, and deliver that kindly to my teachers, but also with, the whole, you can do this, you're already doing some of these things, let's be a little more intentional about them, and help all the students, not just your EL kids. So those are my big things, because that, just her breaking those little 8 chunks down was
Mhm.
kind of like, all of these things are good, let's do any of these things, that we can get done. So it helped me chill a little bit, but get a little more focused, I think. So
I think one thing that I've taken away from this is just the strong connection of language and how language is so connected to literacy, and really looking at the language and how that can support our children in all content areas. And I've also feel a little bit stronger in looking at the curriculum and being able to analyze it for the language.
My biggest takeaway, to start, I was really lucky to be a part of the Rose Grant that we did at my school. So then I felt that I wanted more than needed, wanted to kind of take your course to kind of see how everything overlaps and everything. Um, I love noun groups. She blew my mind when we did noun groups, because I feel like I didn't, I felt like I learned a lot more than maybe I should have learned or should have already known, because I was like, I learned a lot, and all the different things that she was telling us during that whole session um, was just like, wow, like you're like, I can use all of this in my classroom, and really breaking down a sentence and having children be able to formulate a sentence correctly. And I think as a child myself, I don't feel that I learned that. So I just feel that it kind of makes me a better teacher in a way, because like I'm learning this stuff, so I feel like I can give it back to the kids as well. And then just being able to like help them with sentence structure and those sentence patterning charts, and being able to make sure that the kids have a subject and a predicate, and then your nouns. And now that you have a noun, why don't you add a verb to your word, to your sentence, and like just really being able to formulate all that. And that was a huge aha for me. Like,
So a couple of takeaways for me was when I think it was Ruslana was talking about like field, tenor, and mode. And she was talking about like being bicultural and how you have to kind of like just Americanize yourself. And that was kind of like it was kind of eye-opening for me, because I had to really think about it, and I think about all of our kids who come from other places and then they get thrown into an American classroom where they're speaking English, and it's like they're kind of like their culture and their identities kind of pushed aside because we're trying I don't mean like, I don't want to try, but like we're pushing them to do what they need to be doing in that moment. And that was kind of like an aha for me. Like I want to spend more time celebrating the various cultures and identities of our students. And I feel like we don't do enough of that, especially thinking like the beginning of the school year where you're establishing your classroom and learning about your students. Like what an awesome opportunity to really like deep dive on somebody who has, is speaks multiple languages and, has different experiences to offer, the other kids in the class. So I feel like I want to do more with that and celebrating my students. The other thing that I've kind of found super eye-opening was, again, like Dana said, like the sentence patterning, because I feel like that is so, like, it's such a, I don't want to say basic, but like even, American kids, like, I taught English and we did a lot of like sentence diagramming, and then that kind of went away. But I'm like, how important is that, and how much does it connect the idea of using sentence pattern? Oh my gosh, can't talk. But using that and then like figuring out where kids' deficits are, when they're writing. So like you can, if you had them do that, you could easily kind of pinpoint where they need more help and assistance with. So I really liked that. And then just kind of like talking about how we speak, like in various contexts as well. That was part of that. She was talking about being bicultural, and we're in a professional setting, we speak differently than we do in a classroom setting versus when we're talking to kids and adults. And it just kind of, was like, okay, like I want to pay attention to, when I'm working with my students, I use a lot of slang terms, but I'm like, I really want to focus more on like that academic language and helping them by modeling that more. So those are some kind of takeaways I had, and there's just so much good stuff. I just feel like you said, I got to pick one thing, like noun groups or sentence pattern. I can't talk. And, focusing on that and using that to start, and then kind of building in more strategies and ideas as I go. So.
Okay. So I guess one takeaway that I had was how important it is um, to allow for the kids to talk and that oral language piece. And also like building accountability into your lesson. I really enjoyed watching the video where you and another teacher were planning a lesson, and how you were just little simple ways that you had the kids just sharing thoughts, or just showing how they talked about something together, and just trying to build that into a lesson. Um, and I also liked I think it's the picture word, is it inductive method?
Induction.
Induction method. I'm really excited to try that. I think that's gonna be fun to use that in the classroom, and work on building, vocabulary and background knowledge. And I just wanna try some of these things, and, hopefully share with my colleagues, and kinda get them to see how you can kind of, change your way of thinking.
Uh, I think my biggest takeaway is how little I knew about language compared to what I thought I knew about teaching language. My next steps are really to try and focus, because right now my mind's just kind of blown with how much I don't know. And every time we learn something new, I'm like, "Ooh, I want to do that. Ooh, I want to do that." So I just gotta baby steps and how to build that capacity in others.
For one, this was a huge eye opener. The noun groups, I'm glad we'll have access to the curriculum for a while, the classes, because I've taken like copious notes, but now I want to go back through and watch it again. I just feel like it'll help me digest it even more. So one big takeaway for me was just, and I guess it's changing my practice too, is not overthinking it. And like when I first came into this position, I was always either given the student, like teachers, GLAD strategies or elevation strategies to support the students in their class. And now I'm realizing like meeting them where they're at, and just doing like little tweaks, getting the students to talk and calling out the vocabulary, or getting the students to talk and let's use this sentence stem, or, you know, looking at that reading that we've been reading and analyzing how is the language used in this language function. So just, I guess, like going slower and focusing on the language and not making it doesn't need to be this big thing. And I've always been an overthinker, so it's just been nice to get that feeling of like, okay, yeah, like stop overthinking it and just make it, you know, make it simple. Like